Liza opens her eyes for the first time to a bright light. She has no knowledge of who she is or what she is doing in this strange space. She sits in the corner of her room, scared, with no knowledge of what is going on. Eventually, a woman enters the room. Her name is Pandora. She explains that she is an artist, and that Liza is a living sculpture, cloned from human DNA as a woman, because the public see the female form to be more aesthetically pleasing. Liza studied herself in the mirror. What is an art piece, she thought to herself. What makes me different to Pandora? Every now and then, a doctor came to visit. She was genuinely concerned for Liza and asked her what she could do to help. Liza did not know the answer. Liza became obsessed with the meaning of art. She watched program after program trying to absorb knowledge, but she still didn't understand the concept of art, or herself. Whilst living in this room, the two-way glass acted as an insight into her life. Gallery visitors would come and analyse her as an art piece without her knowledge. After weeks of confusion, Liza tells the doctor that she would like to be free, to go see the art world for herself, so that she could understand the reason for her creation. After staring at a blank wall, Liza started drawing and writing on the wall, with the hope that she could gain a better understanding. This only made her more upset and confused. The doctor organises protest after protest in order to free Liza. Eventually, Liza was freed and jumped on the first plane to Paris. She explored the Louvre. She admired the architecture. She was intrigued by the masterful paintings and sculptures. The next stop on her journey was Sotheby's. She found it fascinating to see how valuable art could be. From her investigations, she understood that art does not go out of fashion and is therefore a high commodity. But she still didn't understand how art could be more valuable than food, water, or shelter. She realised she was seeing a very one-sided view of the art world and decided to travel to Africa. She visited African tribes and was shocked to observe the stark contrast between this world and the world she had previously inhabited. She discovered an African market and was captivated by the craftsmanship. She travelled to Japan to investigate other forms of art. She heard about an exhibition at the Saatchi in London, which was curated in order to showcase art from all over the world. She travelled back to London to further her knowledge, but was shocked to see the art displayed in a very westernised space. It reminded her of her old room and her imprisonment, which made her feel claustrophobic and deeply disheartened. Liza returns to Pandora's office and confronts her. She argues that the art that Pandora is creating is purposeless and doesn't have a use within the world. Pandora explains that as Liza has had no formal education of the art world, her points are invalid and that art can be created purely for art's sake. Pandora shows Liza into the next room. Liza is stunned and shaken by what is in front of her. She was not the only clone. Liza had become a brand. She spun as she looked at each girl. As she spins, she becomes disorientated and spins faster. Liza is overwhelmed by the intensity of her emotions and blacks out. Bright lights flood the room and erase her memory.